It's the Face of Chicago Business podcast, introducing you to the stories behind the faces, focused on fixing today's problems with thoughtful leadership and purposeful living. Sit down with us as we get to know the individuals who make our city second to none.
How you guys doing? I'm Tony Arce, and this is the Face of Chicago Business podcast. Today I'm joined by Jack Farrell. Jack, thank you so much for being here, brother.
Hey, thanks a lot, man. I appreciate it.
So you're originally from Illinois, but not Chicago.
Yep. Yeah, I'm actually from downstate, from Decatur, Illinois.
Okay.
It was funny, they actually called it Little Chicago.
Yeah.
But a couple vast differences. One, I was surrounded by cornfields, so, not quite the city, but
Right.
It was very interesting.
I don't think I've ever heard that. So what made it, a little Chicago?
Well, depending on where it is that you grew up at, of course, the city is known for a lot of other things than just, the tall buildings and beautiful scenery. It can be kind of a rough place to grow up, and it was fun. You had to grow up quickly and get some common sense and pick up some street smarts. So I'm actually very thankful for my upbringing. I think it prepared me well.
You mentioned that it was a little rough, but also that you had kind of gone through some things too, right?
Yeah. So early on, I think it was equally as much as, probably my fault as it was anything else. I was a challenging kid. I had a little bit of an attitude, was probably a little too smart for my own good, and truly believed I could do it on my own. So I did.
Wow.
I moved out of my house at 16, joined the service at 17, and never looked back.
Wow. And you say join the service, you joined the Navy, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
So you came up to the Great Lakes?
So I've been up here a couple of times. I actually went to boot camp in Orlando, Florida.
No way.
Now I started off in the Navy as a nuclear engineer.
Wow.
My last 3.5 years in the service, I was a recruiter. So I was a recruiter in Charleston, Illinois, and one of the people that I had recruited actually was named the Great Lakes Naval Recruit of the Year. So I had to come up for a ceremony and
that's really cool.
Yeah, it was fun.
Well, how do you get into the nuclear side of things?
Well, so it was just all testing. So, like I said, when I was young, I had a little bit of an attitude and was probably a little too smart for my own good. So I was a math prodigy, just picked up well in math and science and scored very well. And it all came easy to me.
And what was that like? Being on that side of things.
Well, so it started off great. I started off as a machinist mate in the service. And again, I had a very different upbringing and very different personality.
Sure.
So I didn't.
Did it fit you?
No, I didn't really get along well with others early on in life. Early on in the service. So I got into a little bit of trouble and
Couple fights here and there or what?
Yeah, a couple.
Yeah,
a couple here and there. Yeah, it's.
You're in the military.
Well, it wasn't just that. Not only were you in the military, but I've always really just been offended by bullies, and typically a lot of the people you come across in the service, right, are very machismo type A personality,
power hungry.
Yeah, so I was always that guy that let them know that not everyone would comply with what it is that they said. So anyway, whenever I was asked to leave the nuclear engineering program, to put it nicely, the career counselor saw my scores and was like, Jack, you're too smart to have taken this path down in life. And he gave me a second chance, which I'll forever be grateful for. And I went into advanced avionics in Memphis, Tennessee, and scored top of my class there. And even in nuclear engineering school, I was the math and physics honorman. So that part was just the easy part. And but that really changed my life. I met my best friend. He became the godfather to all my children.
Wow.
It really pushed me to try to do better and be better. If anything, just from a friendly guy competition. So for me, it was a big turning point in my life.
Now,
forever thankful.
No, that's amazing, and kudos to him.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Now, I know that you served 2 enlistments, right?
Yeah.
So, and you're very clear. 8 years, 8 months, and 23 days, right?
Exactly. Yeah. Who's counting?
And so, was that part of your second enlistment going into that program?
Yeah. So I had to extend in order to take the advanced education, and I did. And my EOS, turned out to be September 7th, 2001. Which, oddly enough, is 4 days before 9/11.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
I'm
Irish, so it's better to be lucky than good.
Yeah.
Let me tell you.
Yeah. Well, and speaking of which, I thought that was pretty cool that afterwards, you moved up here. You found yourself on the south side of Chicago.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, so it was funny. So that's actually how I got started in the finance business. I only knew a couple of things. One, I was in the military, so I could handle a beer or two, and two, I was Irish. So being on the South Side, if you're in lending, one of the people that you call on are the South Side Irish builders. So they gave me my first start in the business. I started at a great company called Mid-America Bank, and still in contact today with the people it is that I worked with then.
Yeah. So, I mean, what changed for you? I mean, I look at you now, you don't seem like that type of guy anymore that used to be in the military.
Well, yeah, I think having 4 kids humbles you.
Yeah.
And trying to pay for 4 kids really humbles you a lot. And you realize that there's just more to life. And on top of that, I think that, with time, I think cures a lot of things, right? So,
For sure.
So for me, just going from the service to experience in life and truly just living on my own. I grew up a lot, I realized that it was just time to stop being angry. So it's funny, a lot of people don't know me from back then. So all my nicknames at work are always Happy Jack, Smiling Jack, and I'm, it makes me laugh because I really am that person. But yeah, they would have never known it 25 years ago.
No, I mean, and I know you say, you feel like you were forced into that, obviously, with kids and everything else and the maturing. But as far as the mindset, like, what's going through your mind that more self-aware? I mean, is it that the idea that you noticed something that you didn't like about yourself? I mean, what had to happen mentally in order for that to take place?
So for me, it was just watching other successful people. So I've never seen a successful person that was upset, that was mad all the time. Right. I mean, you get frustrated. Sure. You have anxiety. Absolutely. But most successful people are generally happy. They're happy with themselves. They're happy with the people they work with. And I think that comes down to the choices that you make. So thankfully, I'm at a spot in my life now where I don't have to work with everybody. I don't have to work with those people that rub me the wrong way.
Sure.
I can choose to work with people such as yourself and other people that again, that I think have, good outlooks. I think are good people. And I think that, the more you surround yourself with that type of person, the more not only becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy for you, but yeah, I wake up happy every day.
That's amazing. Yeah, it really is.
Yeah.
I mean, because you hear about so many people that just continue on that path, and they think that being successful is being angry, and you're right. It doesn't work that way.
Right.
So now you're on the South Side. You get into finance. You get into lending, right? Mortgage lending?
Yes. So whenever I got into the business, back then it was still no different than it was now. You never got a salary. I got a $500 a month draw. And I think at that time I had to pay $900 a month in child support, and I might have had $1,000 to my name. So, nothing breeds success than necessity.
Yeah.
So I woke up every day. I knew I wasn't the smartest person in the world. Knew I didn't have the most connections, but I knew I could control what I can control, and that's my work ethic. So I think, those of us that are born and raised in the Midwest kind of grow up with a certain work ethic, and then you add in some external factors there that really kind of help you get after it. And that's what I did. I worked all the time, and thankfully I had a really supportive partner that allowed me to do so. And yeah, it was nice.
Where did you find the most success in what you did? I mean, obviously working hard is one thing, but you can work hard and not smart, right?
Right.
So for you, what was it, that combination that you found success in the mortgage business?
So for me, it was all on cold calling. So because I didn't know anybody, I developed really good cold calling skills. And
I mean, you really didn't know anybody here at all, right?
Yeah. I knew 2 people. I knew my girlfriend and her mother.
Wow.
So I just took what it is that I knew. Well, my last 3 years in the service, so I was a recruiter. So I'd spent a lot of time on the phone, had done, a lot of time, speaking with kids and going out and meeting business owners. So I just kind of replicated that.
Was it a natural transition from there?
Yeah, I thought it was super easy.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah. I mean, well, think about it. I go from selling, hey, you want to join the service for 4 years to hey, you want a loan? Yeah. I think it's
a little bit easier.
I thought, I don't know. I think it was pretty easy,
Yeah.
So I just, I spent a lot of time in the car, drove around to a lot of different real estate agents, offices back when the agents actually worked in the office instead of, what it is they do now.
And floor time and everything.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Floor time, call time, phone time,
Yeah.
And plus, everyone likes to eat. So I like to bring in some food, some
Nice.
candy. Yeah.
So how long did you do that for?
Ooh, 5 years before I got promoted into management.
Okay.
And then life really changed then, because I no longer had to do those things. And then, it was a really challenging transition for me, to have people try to emulate what it is that you did in order to get there, but not do it the right way. So it was very frustrating in the very beginning. And I learned that, it really helped me become a much better manager actually working with people that were completely opposite, because I needed to figure out different ways in order to make people successful.
Yeah. I hear that a lot too, in terms of, how people in sales, no one really trains them. You don't go to school, right, to be in sales, but then also when you take a salesperson and you promote them to a manager, it's not like they have managerial experience, right? So what was that learning curve for you like?
Oh, so I was in a leadership position in the military, so it was a little easier for me, I think, than most, and I think a common misconception is that a good salesperson is a good leader. And I think they're two totally different skill sets. I think that being a good leader takes time. It takes a good mentor. And again, I was really fortunate early on in my life to work with some great people that I was able to learn, watch, and try to find my own way. With that, I made an awful lot of mistakes, ones that I'm super grateful for. Even the mistakes I make today, I'm happy about, because it's one less mistake that I'll make moving forward.
Absolutely.
I think too many people try to be perfect. I just try to be me. And if I can be me and figure out a way in order to treat people well, be a good person, I think karma's awesome.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Now, you're a recruiter, you get into the mortgage business, and now you're recruiting for the mortgage business, right? Now, was there anything in between that, or is that where?
No, So once you're in the mortgage business, you start off as a salesperson, you do a lot of loans, they put you into management. In management, your primary responsibility is recruiting. So I just got a chance to use an old skill that I picked up in the service, and had done a really good job doing it. Again, I think at the end of the day, all kinds of sales, I think it's a people business, and people do business with people, not with companies. So whenever I would go and make my recruiting calls or meet up with people, I just made it a point to try to establish a connection with the person. Didn't matter what company I worked for. Yeah. I always felt that was irrelevant. I cared more about what it is that person wanted, what it is that they were looking for, and I felt that if I had a product that could satisfy those needs, then it would be an easy transaction. In a way, it has been. Yeah,
that's amazing.
Yeah, it's fun.
And you went to work for someone else, right? Or I mean,
yes,
you worked for.
Yeah, I've worked for a lot of the lenders here in the area, and I'm really thankful for all those experiences, because whenever I started my own recruiting business, I really was able to draw on all of those connections. So now I really feel like I have the best of both worlds. Now if someone wants something, I naturally have an outlet for it. If not, I just call up a friend, or I already have a contract with them. So it's really nice to be able to have gone through all those different deviations and the ebbs and flows of the business, because I think it's put me in a really good position in order to help a lot of people out.
For sure. And what made you do the crazy thing of starting your own company?
Well, starting my own company during the pandemic, I don't know. I think that, bold, I think the reward favors the bold, or whatever that saying is. It really, whenever you spend an awful lot of time at home, just sitting there, you work your day and then you sit at home, and then you work your day and you sit at home, a lot of things cross your mind. I've been wanting to start this business since 2014. Oh, wow. Whenever I was sitting down just talking to my girlfriend about it, she was like, "What's stopping you?" And I didn't have an answer. I was like, "Really nothing. There's nothing stopping me." She was like, "Well, why don't you do it?" So I was like, I think I'm going to.
And what has been the biggest challenge so far? I know it's very new, right? But being an entrepreneur is a whole different animal than anything else I'm sure you've ever done.
Yeah. So the funny thing is that the one thing I'll tell any new business owner is, most people go into business for themselves thinking, "Oh, I want to go into business so I can do this for forever." Well, the funny thing is when you start your own business, in the beginning, you do nothing that you're supposed to do, right? You're doing everything, for all of you IT professionals out there, I really miss you a lot, because I don't have an IT department.
Right.
And it's incredibly frustrating.
Well, you do, just you happen to be the only one.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. So thankfully between that and 12-ounce glass of beer, I'm able to figure out most things in probably way too long a time. So I think that's the biggest challenge is, just even the little stuff, from a technology standpoint, and then the laws. I mean, you take for granted whenever you work at a large, corporate conglomerate, you can call up legal. Well, now when you call up legal, it costs you $250 an hour,
right.
Or $350 an hour.
Right.
So you end up doing a lot of research on your own and trying to figure it out. But it's I can tell you that, looking back, over the last 3 months while I've been creating this, it's been extremely challenging, very fun. I wish I would have done it earlier in life, even though it probably wouldn't have been the best time for me to do it. Just the amount of information I've been able to pick up has been fantastic.
No, I'm sure you've learned so much that it's only helping you at this point.
Yes, it's super cool. Yeah.
And tell me about the business. I mean, so it's a recruitment company, but you're recruiting exclusively for the mortgage industry, right?
Yes, it's the only thing that I recruit for. I may end up expanding that in the future. I have a platform I think that bodes well to do that. But initially, I'm sticking with what it is that I know best. The slogan of my company is people focused, technology driven, because again, at the end of the day, I think that technology is fantastic, but it's still a people business.
Absolutely.
And I think people do business with people that they like and trust. So that's been the onus for what it is that I do. And now I employ an awful lot of technology from a sourcing standpoint, from being able to match and pair, candidates up with employers, with outreach. I think that's important because it is just me. So I need to figure out a way to make my time, the most efficient possible.
For sure. What do you love most about what you're doing now?
I remember the day one of my launch. I woke up and I was like, wow, I don't have a boss. And then it dawned on me, I actually have more bosses. I may not have that one, central figure, but I have, dozen clients, I have, hundreds of loan officers that I'm talking to. And they all, depend on me in order to do my job. So
sure.
Even though I may not have that one person to call boss, I have many different bosses. But at the end of the day, I think that if you're confident, you work hard, there's nobody else I would rather bet on than myself.
I know you have a heart for veterans and helping veterans
Yes.
out. But who else, who else out there that's watching, would you like to connect with or possibly mentor or?
Yeah. So my third son has autism. So I've done a lot of stuff with Autism Speaks. There's a fantastic organization that I'm going to be supporting more and more of after I get through the building phase of my business, and that's Open Heart Magic. So what Open Heart Magic does is they do bedside Chicago close-up magic to kids as they're going through, chemotherapy, various different serious illnesses for kids.
That's amazing.
I think anything that has to do with kids or veterans, I'm more than happy to support, either financially or time. And for those of you that worked with me whenever I was in Open Heart Magic, I'm really not a great magician, but I try to have fun when I do it.
So you're actually out there doing it?
Yeah, on occasion.
Wow.
Yeah, I used
That's
to.
cool.
Yeah, you used to. You still have to get through the training class. It was just so much. I mean, man, these guys are good.
How'd you get involved with that?
I actually applied for a year and a half.
No kidding.
Yeah. So I lived in Indianapolis. Whenever I applied the first time, they didn't have a program down there. So as soon as I moved back up to Chicago, I applied again, was accepted. Got through about half the training program. And then, work took over. And so now I'm going to support them a different way. I'll do really, really bad magic and give them some money. That's about what it is I'm good for right now.
That works, though. Whatever you can do to help.
Yeah, absolutely.
Can't thank you enough for coming out and sharing your story. I mean, it sounds like, you're onto some cool things and very big things,
fun.
And giving back. So we're excited to continue to get to know you better and share your story. So
Sure.
Again, just thank you so much
Thank you. I appreciate it. Thanks for having me.
Thank you, brother.
All right, man.